So we're gonna get started. I want everyone to come to a seated position on the mat, just legs crossed in front of you. If the sound ever goes out or it's too soft, let me know and I'll adjust. Any questions before we get started? I want to give that opportunity. Anything to tell me about that's going on in your body? That's injuries, conditions, illnesses? No? Okay. Awesome. All right, so just bring awareness here. Bring your palms to your thighs. Allow your knees to just release towards the mat, either crossing your legs in front of you or placing one heel in front of the other. Allow your eyes to close softly. Release your shoulders away from your ears. Unlock your jaw. For a more grounding sensation, you can allow your palms to stay facing towards the earth. Or if you need a little bit more energy or invigoration today, go ahead and flip your palms up towards the sky. Begin to bring awareness to your breath. Allowing your belly to expand on the inhale, filling up with air. And then exhale deeply, contract your belly back towards the spine. Really ridding your body of all air that might be kind of pent up or stagnant within yourself. Begin to, or continue to breathe at a normal pattern of breath. And allow yourself to come here to your mat fully. Leave whatever happened this morning or what you have to do later off of your mat. Allow this to be enough for the time being. In the state of the world today and the state of our society, I think a lot of us are experiencing even more anxiety or worry or fear than normal. If you're bound to your home, that's a new routine in itself. If you're still leaving your home for essential jobs, essential errands, things of that nature, it's all new. Everyone's experiencing a new routine, a new pattern of living right now. Everyone is connected in that way. And so there's no need to feel like you need to do more than you are. You're being exactly as you're meant to be right now. I think a lot of us in our homes could put pressure on ourselves to do more, to make to-do lists, to be reading all these books, to be watching all these shows and things of that nature. But just being is enough. Being a human being and not having to always be doing is enough. So for the next hour, just allow yourself to be here on your mat and to accept yourself as you are. We're going to work in the hips a lot today. A lot of our fear and frustration, a lot of different emotions can get really pent up and stuck in the hip area. So we're going to work on releasing those emotions from the hips through a lot of hip openers, strengtheners, hip mobility movements. It may feel and seem a little bit different for those of you who are regulars. There's a few new flows and movements mixed in, so it should be interesting and new. With that, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart center in front of your torso and join me in chanting one single sound of Om. You're always welcome to listen along, and that's just as powerful as chanting. In today's world, uniting our voices, uniting ourselves in any way possible is even more important than ever before. Inhale here for Om. Exhale to release your palms down to your mat. And begin to cultivate your Ujjayi breath. Your Ujjayi breathing is victorious breath. It's cultivated by keeping your mouth closed and inhaling and exhaling through the nostrils. So you may start to hear kind of a hissing sound in the back of your throat. That's the breath being warmed before it comes into the body. The analogy I love with this breath is it almost sounds like the ocean, as if you were to pick up a seashell and listen. It's that subtle, soft sound of the ocean. So keep yourself attentive to this breath throughout the practice. If you come away from it, that could mean that you need to visit a restful position and reset with the breath. If they aren't already, go ahead and flutter your eyes open. And then go ahead and bring your legs out long in front of you. So you might need to shift yourself back, your sit bones about halfway back, in line with about the midway of the mat. And then bring your legs out long in front of you. Flex both feet here, engaging the legs. And then go ahead and bend the right leg. Bring the sole of the right foot on the outside of your left thigh. So connect the right sole fully with the mat on the left side of you. And then just go ahead and hug your left or your right knee into your body. So you should feel this kind of stretch on the outside of your right thigh here, down towards your hips. And just sit tall, breathing into it. On an exhale, release your right palm behind you, behind your right sit bone on the mat, and then inhale your left arm alongside your ear. Exhale to twist towards the right side, hooking your left elbow onto your right knee, and then guide your gaze behind your right shoulder towards the back of the mat. So this is a twist to wring out the spine. It's very detoxifying. Inhale to bring your arms back overhead through center, and then exhale to release. Go ahead and bring your right leg long in line with your left. Take a moment to connect with your breath here. And then go ahead and bend your left knee. Bring the sole of your left foot on the outside of the right leg here, and then hug your left knee into your chest. Sitting up tall, torso towards the ceiling. Good. On an exhale, bring your left palm behind your left sit bone on the mat, and then inhale your right arm alongside your ear. Exhale to hook your right elbow onto your left knee and guide yourself into a twist towards the left. Gaze over your left shoulder. Inhaling to lengthen your torso and then exhaling to twist more deeply. Inhale your arms up through center. And then exhale to release your legs long. Go ahead and connect with your breath here. One full round of breath. Inhale to raise your arms overhead one more time, and then still flexing both feet, exhale to fold forward. So bring your lower back with you, and then place your hands on your shins, your knees, your ankles, your feet, wherever they meet. Guide your head down towards your knees for a deep stretch. Inhale to raise your torso towards the sky. And then go ahead and bend your knees, hug them in towards your chest, and then just rock back onto your back. So go ahead and rock side to side. Massaging your lower back with the mat. Good. And then come to a stillness at center. Allow your knees to open towards the sides of the mat. Bring your ankles and your feet towards each other more. So now again, your knees are out wide towards the sides of the mat. From here, take hold of your knees with your hands and begin to guide your knees in small circles in towards each other and then out towards the sides of the mat, just kind of wakening up the hips in this way. Good. There's really no right or wrong direction here, but just kind of guiding your knees into small circles. If you're going one direction, go ahead and shift out the other direction. Allow your knees to be heavy down towards the mat when they come out towards the sides. Good, and then just find a stillness at center, and then release your feet down towards the mat. Again, soles of your feet into the mat, knees bent. Good. Lift your right leg up, still bent. Your right shin parallel with the mat, and then go ahead and cross your right shin over your left thigh. So it's in a figure 4 position. Good. Inhale to lift your left foot off of the mat and then guide your left knee towards your torso. You might bring your hands behind your left thigh and guide your thigh closer to your torso to deepen the stretch in the right outer thigh down into the hip flexor there. Keep both feet flexed here to engage. Good. From here, in just a moment, we're going to allow our legs to fall over towards the left side of the mat, just as we are. So on an inhale, begin to bring your legs, just like this, towards the left side. So that's going to mean that your right foot is going to ground into the mat. And your left leg is just you're gonna let your left leg kind of just go long, keep it bent a little bit, or however is comfortable. So again, now your right leg is bent over on the left side, the sole of the right foot on the left, over on the side of the left leg, okay? From here, take hold of your right ankle with your left hand. Kind of pull your right ankle closer to your body. I'm gonna turn like this in case you need this. So you pull your right ankle closer to your body, and then go ahead and guide your right knee down towards your left toes. So that opposing force should bring a stretch, or you'll probably feel it in the outer right thigh, okay? So then also, it's probably likely that your right hip came off of the mat. See if you can guide your right hip back a bit more onto the mat. And then bring your right arm out to a T and guide your gaze over towards your right fingertips. Good. So you should feel this in the right outer thigh, the IT band, which connects the hip to the knee, or the pelvis more to the knee, and helps create stability in the hip and the knee. So just breathe into that. On an inhale, come back through center, repositioning yourself into that figure 4. And then exhale to release both feet to the mat. Good. Inhale, lift your left leg off of the mat. Cross your left shin over your right thigh. And then inhale to lift your right foot off the mat. Guide your right knee towards your body. And then maybe take hold of the right thigh behind it and guide that closer towards your body for a deeper stretch in the left hip flexor. On an exhale, begin to allow your legs to fall to the right side. So bringing the sole of your left foot onto the mat on the outside of your right leg. Your right leg can just go long with a slight bend. And then take hold of your left ankle with your right hand. Guide that left ankle closer to you. And then push your left knee out towards your right toes. From here, bring your left arm out towards to a T and have your gaze shift towards your left fingertips. Good. So ground your left sit bones into the mat here too. This is a slight twist for sure, but really more so we should be feeling it in the left IT band, which is in the outer thigh and connects the pelvis to the knee. Good. Inhale to come back through center with your left shin over your right thigh. And then exhale to release both feet back down to the mat, knees bent. Take a full round of breath here. And then inhale, hug both knees into the chest. Begin rocking forward and back the length of your spine. And then maybe using this momentum to bring yourself up without the assist of your hands into all fours, or you can use your hands, but however you want to get there, just bring yourself into all fours and position yourself with a neutral spine, your wrists beneath your shoulders, your knees beneath your hips. From here, begin to circle your hips towards the right in a clockwise position. So allow your hips to come back down to graze your heels, come back up through the left side. We'll just take about 3 circles clockwise with your hips. You might hear some cracks in the knees or the hips. This will also help kind of stretch out your shoulders as you come back towards your heels. It's similar to child's pose. After about 3 circles in that direction, go ahead and shift towards the left side, counterclockwise. Good, and then find a stillness through center. Inhale here, tilt your tailbone up towards the sky, drop your belly down towards the ground, lift your gaze up for cow pose. Exhale to drop your tailbone down towards the mat, hollow your belly up towards the ceiling, drop your head last for cat pose. Inhale, tilt the tailbone up, drop your belly down towards the mat, lift your gaze last for cow pose. Exhale, tilt the tailbone down, hollow your belly up, really exaggerate the rounding in the shoulders, drop your head last for cat pose. So guide yourself through a few more rounds of cat-cow, using your own breath to guide you at your own pace. Good, I can hear some really strong breath for those that have left their audio on. I like that. Good encouragement for the rest of us. So after your next cat pose, go ahead and find a stillness at a neutral spine and center. Bring your heels together and bring your knees out towards the sides of the mat. Release your sit bones down towards, your sit bones down towards your heels into child's pose. So walk your hands out long in front of you. Release your head to the mat. Just let yourself rest here for a few breaths. Imagine an adjustment in child's pose that I'm sure we all miss. This is one of those restful positions that you can come back to at any point in the practice. If anything is just too much for your body, you're always welcome to meet yourself here. On an inhale, ground yourself, your palms into the mat. Lift your torso back up through hands and knees. Bring your feet back up or back to hip distance. So now you're kind of directly back in hands and knees where we started. Good. Walk your hands one handprint out further in front of you. And then inhale to bring your torso forward. Peek over your fingertips as if you're kind of peeking over a cliff. And then exhale, keep your hips elevated, drop your chest and chin between your hands for Ashtapranam. Inhale, scoop your torso forward, bring your hips to the mat, lift your chest just about halfway for small cobra, and then exhale, drop your head down, shift back through hands and knees, tuck your toes, and lift up into downward facing dog. So pedal out your feet here is the first downward facing dog of the day, potentially. Enjoy this sensation of your head being lower than your heart. Take whatever movements feel good to you to settle into your first down dog. And then eventually finding a stillness in down dog, really grounding your weight evenly into both palms and all 10 fingertips. Guiding your heels back towards the mat, even if they don't touch. And then your gaze lifts up towards your thighs. Good. From here, begin to walk your feet up to meet your hands. So very slowly shift the weight of your body into your feet, bringing yourself to the top of your mat. Land here with a long spine. Surrender your torso weight forward. Hang your head heavy. Allow your arms just to hang heavy in front of you. You might like to take hold of opposite elbows here. Just maybe shift your hips back and forth, whatever it takes to really just allow yourself to surrender that weight forward and feel heavy. Even flubber your lips. That actually creates a calming sensation, even though it sounds funny. If you're with others in your household, they might think it's a little strange, but hey, it's worth it. And then slowly begin to roll yourself up to standing, stacking one vertebra on top of the other one very slowly. Coming into Tadasana, or our mountain pose. So standing with your feet about hip width distance apart, or maybe slightly closer together, slightly further apart, whatever allows you to feel that balance. Stack your hips over top of your knees, which are over top of your ankles. Go ahead and roll your shoulders back, broadening your collarbones wide. Standing firmly with all four corners of your feet, the weight equally balanced in all four corners of your feet, connecting with the mat, feeling this grounding sensation. Inhale to lift your arms overhead, palms touch, gaze lifts. Exhale the hands through the midline of the body, fingertips come to line with toe tips on the mat. Forward fold Uttanasana. Inhale about halfway up, so bring your neck long out in front of you, and then exhale, fold forward, frame your feet, step or hop back into your high plank. So you can always continue to bring your knees down here. We're going to flow through a vinyasa, but if it's in your practice, feel free to keep your knees elevated in Chaturanga. So exhale here, lower down, Chaturanga or Ashtapranam. Inhale, scoop forward for small cobra or upward dog, bringing your arms all the way to straight. And then exhale, fold your head down towards the mat, curl back through hands and knees, tuck your toes under and lift your hips up to downward facing dog. So that there is your vinyasa, and I'll use that to cue us to flow throughout the practice today. Any version you like is always appropriate, and you can always skip it and go right to down dog. Inhale your right leg long behind you here. Exhale to step your right foot between your hands at the top of the mat. Release your left knee to the mat, uncurl, and untuck your left toes. Inhale your arms alongside your ear for a low lunge. So have your right knee over your right ankle here, not any further. And then lift your left thigh up towards the sky. So you should really feel this in your left hip flexor. Dropping your shoulders away from your ears. Good. Exhale to frame the front foot. Keep the left palm grounded on the inside of the right foot here, and then inhale to twist towards the right side of the mat. Bring your right arm long up towards the ceiling. So option to stay here or go ahead and go in search of your left hip with your right fingertips, or you can bend your left leg and reach back for your left fingertips with your right hand. If you'd like that deeper stretch in the left quad, the left hip flexor. Open your chest and heart towards the right side of the mat. If you've taken hold of your left leg, or if you bind your right arm around, go ahead and release and come forward to frame the front foot. Tuck the left toes under, step the right foot back to meet the left. Exhale, flow through your vinyasa and meet in downward facing dog. Release the, I'll give you a second to get there. Good. Release the left leg long behind you. Step the left foot between the toes, or between the hands, I should say. Exhale to release your right knee to the mat. Untuck the right toes. Inhale your arms alongside your ears. Good. Stacking your left knee over your left ankle. Raising your right thigh towards the sky at the same time that you're bending into the right leg or the left leg. So when you raise that right thigh towards the ceiling, you kind of feel that deeper stretch in the right hip flexor. Exhale to frame the front foot. Keep the right palm grounded into the mat. Inhale to lift your left arm towards the sky, twisting your torso towards the left. Option to stay here, or go in search of your right hip with your left fingertips, or an option to bend your right foot, your right leg, and go in search of your right foot. Exhale to release. Bring your left arm back up towards the sky and around to frame the front foot. Tuck the right toes under. Go ahead and shift the left foot back to meet the right and flow through your vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog. From here, inhale your right leg long behind you. Exhale to step the right foot by the right thumb. Swivel your left heel down to the mat on about a 45-degree angle out towards the left side. Bend into your right knee here and inhale your arms alongside your ears for warrior one. So in thinking about the hips here, you can even take your hands and do a check, but see that your hips are facing towards the top of the mat. They're level with each other. Your left hip is going to want to curl back since that left foot is on an angle. But really think about kind of bringing your hips level towards the top of the mat. If that means a closer stance, that's totally fine. Good. Exhale to bring your hands through the midline. Open your torso towards the long left side of the mat. Adjust your back foot to be parallel with the back of the mat, still bending into your right knee. Your gaze over your right fingertips here for warrior two. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. We don't have to carry the weight of the world on our shoulders. And then inhale your torso towards the top of the mat. Release your right elbow to your right knee, and then exhale your left arm across your face, left fingertips towards the top of the mat for extended side angle. Breathe into the opened left side of the body here. We often don't send oxygen to the veins and the areas deep within. So send the oxygen to places that it often doesn't reach. Inhale to lift your torso, bringing your hands back out to a T. From here, straighten your right leg, keeping your hands out to a T. And then inhale your torso forward once more towards the top of the mat. Exhale to release your right hand down towards the mat. Your left hand comes overhead. So if your right hand reaches the mat, bring it to the outside of your right foot. If not, just go ahead and rest it gently somewhere on the right leg. You might want to keep a slight bend in the right leg as to not hyperextend. I know when I do this pose, a lot of times my hips will crack. I'm not sure if that's just me or if that happens in a lot of bodies, but it's a good release. Inhale to lift your torso back up to stand. And then very slowly shift your toe tips up towards the top of the mat. Cartwheel your hands forward. Frame the front foot. Step the front foot back to meet the left. And then exhale to lower down. Flow through your vinyasa, meeting in downward facing dog. From here, inhale your left leg long behind you. Exhale, step the left foot by the left thumb. And then swivel your right heel down to the mat. So your right toe tips are slightly angled out towards the right side of the mat. Bend into the left leg and inhale your arms overhead for warrior one. So go ahead and check your hips. Make sure they're both pointing up towards the top of the mat, kind of like both headlights are pointing forward, right? Inhale your arms overhead. Drop your shoulders away from your ears. And then you also want to have a slight space between the heels too. So your feet are on opposite train tracks here, not on the same train tracks. Good. Exhale your hands through the midline. Open your torso towards the right side of the mat. Out, arms come out to a T. The back foot is now parallel with the back of the mat. And gaze over the front left fingertips for warrior two. Excellent. Inhale your torso forward. Exhale to release your left elbow to your left knee. And inhale your right arm across your face, right fingertips towards the top of the mat for extended side angle. So send breath into that open and expanded right side body this time. On an inhale, lift yourself back up through center. Arms out to a T. Pause briefly in warrior two. And then go ahead and straighten your front left leg. Inhale to tilt your torso towards the top of the mat. Exhale to release the left hand down towards the mat. Right arm comes up towards the sky. If your left hand reaches the mat, bring it to the outside of your left foot for triangle pose. So here, think about really broadening the collarbones wide. Not allowing, like stacking the shoulders kind of firmly, not allowing yourself to kind of fall into the left shoulder down towards the mat, but really opening the shoulders wide. Use an inhale to lift yourself back up to stand, and then bring all toe tips to face the top of the mat. Cartwheel your hands forward to frame the front foot. Step the front foot back to meet the right, and then exhale, lower down, flow through your vinyasa. We'll meet in downward facing dog. All right, so from here, inhale your right leg long behind you, bend the right leg, and bring the right knee just to hover next to your left elbow at the top of the mat. Good. Exhale, release back. Inhale, bend the right knee and bring it to hover just under your chest. Exhale to release back. Inhale, bend the right knee, bring it to hover by your right elbow. And then exhale, release it down to the mat, that right knee. Good. And then come to sit on your right hips, kind of like this. Hopefully you can see. So you're sitting on the right side, and then you're gonna bring your left leg up to meet the sole of your right foot. So this is a little bit new for a lot of us, I'm sure, this position. So basically your right foot, or your left foot, sorry, is behind you. Your left leg is bent, and the sole of your right foot is into the top of your left thigh. So a lot of people call this a paperclip position. I don't really see the paperclip thing, so you can kind of imagine whatever shape you might might imagine or might relate this shape to. But so now that you kind of were on your right hip, now come to center yourself as much as you can on both sit bones evenly. That might mean that your right knee will lift a little bit. That's totally fine. So I'll demonstrate quickly. Hopefully everyone can see and can follow along. Caveat to all these things we're about to do, if you would like to come to child's pose or to a traditional pigeon, if you have that in your practice, that's totally fine. So from here, you can use your hands or use the strength in your hips to inhale, come up on your shins and lift your hips towards the sky. So you're basically standing on your shins, but your left shin is behind you and your right shin is folded in towards like it's kind of parallel at the top of the mat, okay? Good. Exhale, release your sit bones to the mat. We'll do that one more time. So inhale to release your hips up towards the mat. This is great for strengthening and creating some more mobility in the hips. Exhale to release to the mat. So from here, bring your hands out in front of you, and either with your palms or you might be able to come to fingertips. Go ahead and bring your left leg long behind you as if you're setting up for a traditional pigeon, okay? So untuck the left toes behind you, but stay on your fingertips and stay elevated off of the mat, okay? We're not gonna fold over like normally. So a lot of times in traditional pigeon, that's great for creating that like stretch and that flexibility. We're gonna focus more on strength and stability today. So you can stay here, or if you have that, feel like you have that strength, it sometimes takes time to work up to it, bring your hands off the mat and raise your torso towards the sky. So now you're in an elevated pigeon. Just breathe into it. You'll probably feel it pretty strongly in the front of your right thigh and maybe a bit in your left hip flexor. I'm sorry, you're probably your right hip flexor and then your left, the top of your left thigh, you would feel it there. Good. From here, begin to sit on the right sit bone and then bring your legs to open wide towards the left side of the mat. So now you have your legs open wide, the soles of your feet grounded into the mat, and then go ahead and just bring the soles of your feet together. We'll come into Supta Baddha Konasana. So this is, I'll turn towards the camera so you can see, but you're on the side of your mat. Bring your hands to clasp over your toe tips, and then guide your knees down towards the mat as much as they will go. Don't force it, but allow them just to kind of get heavy. Your knees to get heavy towards the mat. Good. Inhale, sit up tall. So then you're facing the side of your mat like this. You're going to exhale to release. Go ahead and bring your right shin towards the top of the mat again and allow your left leg to go long behind you. Setting up for one more elevated pigeon on the right side. Again, if this is too much or it's cranky in your hip area, please be respectful of that and the message your body's sending you and just come into a traditional pigeon or feel free to visit child's pose here. Okay, we'll take 2 more rounds of breath here. Good. Bring your hands to the mat if they're not there already on your fingertips. Tuck your left toes under, and then go ahead and reach your right leg long behind you. Release it up towards the sky. Maybe just circle the hip a few times with the knee bent. Kind of let go what you were releasing and holding on to in that elevated pigeon. It's probably really new to your body. It's not often that we practice that in vinyasa. And then release your right leg, coming back into a regular down dog. Inhale to come forward into your high plank. Exhale, flow through your vinyasa, and we'll meet in downward facing dog. One thing I've learned teaching virtually is that it's really hard to talk and to practice, so I get out of breath. Good. Connect with your breath here. And then inhale your your left leg, sorry, long behind you. Exhale, bend your left knee. Bring your left knee to hover by your right elbow. Exhale, release back long. Inhale, bend the left knee, bring it to hover under your chest at center. Exhale to release back long. Inhale, bend your left knee, hover it by your left elbow, and then exhale, release your left shin to the mat, and then sit onto your left hip. Bring your right leg up and around to allow the sole of your left foot to connect with the top of your right thigh. So now you're in this, what some call paperclip position. Your right foot is back behind you. Good. So then take a moment to even out the weight of your body into both hips, kind of connect the flesh of your sit bones with the mat evenly. From here, inhale to lift up onto your shins, using your hands or not your hands, whatever way you can get there. Good. I see some taking their arms overhead. That's a good idea if you feel like you want to do that. And then exhale to release your sit bones down to the mat. We'll do that once more. Inhale to raise up. Feeling that strength and stability in the hip area, the pelvic area, and then exhale to release down. Good. From here, maintaining as much as you can, the left shin parallel at the top of the mat, go ahead and send your right leg long behind you as if you're setting up for a traditional pigeon, okay? Untuck the right toes and then prop yourself up onto your fingertips. From here, inhale to raise your torso up. Bring your hands either overhead or to your hips, whatever feels appropriate, and use the strength and stability in your hips to lift you. Good. On an exhale, go ahead and sit into the left sit bone first, and then bring your feet to ground into the mat. Bring your body to align with the long right side of the mat. Your feet and your knees are wide. And then eventually bring your soles to connect in Supta Baddha Konasana. Good. Allow your knees to get heavy towards the mat as much as they can. Take your hands and round them around your toes. If you want, you can encourage a little bit more of a stretch here by bending slightly forward and pushing not really pushing, but kind of encouraging weight into your shins with your elbows. So definitely don't push into your knees directly, but go ahead and use the force of your elbows to kind of guide your legs down towards the mat a little bit more. You'll feel a deeper stretch in the inner thigh into the hip. Inhale to sit up. Good. And then begin to bring the left shin towards the top of the mat again. Go ahead and guide your right leg long behind you. We'll set up for one more elevated pigeon. So on an inhale, begin to lift your torso tall. Lift your hips towards the sky. You're balancing in the left shin, lifting the hips, and then your arms can come overhead or to your hips, whatever feels appropriate. Exhale to release down. So from here, tuck your right toes under. Bring your hands out in front first and foremost. Tuck your right toes under. And then go ahead and send your left leg back long. Bend the left leg. Maybe take a few circles here. Good. And then come into a still downward facing dog. From here, release your knees to the mat out long. Bring the soles of your feet together, not the soles of your feet, but your ankles together, and then release back into a child's pose. Your hands out long in front of you, your forehead comes to the mat. And inhale, ground your palms firmly into the mat, lift yourself back through hands and knees. And then go ahead and find yourself on your backs in any way possible to get there. So when you get to your back, we'll go ahead and bend your knees and bring the soles of your feet as close to your sit bones as possible. Bring your arms alongside your body long with your palms facing into the mat. From here, inhale to connect your lower back, the sacrum area, with the mat. And then exhale to release your hips up towards the sky. Ground your weight evenly into all four corners of your feet. Exhale to hover your hips just above the mat. Don't release all the way yet. And then inhale to lift up. Exhale to release down. Inhale, lift up. Exhale, release all the way to the mat. Good. Inhale, connect your lower back with the mat here. And then exhale to lift your hips up towards the sky. So you can stay here with your palms grounded into the mat, or option to clasp your fingertips together underneath your lower back. And maybe kind of puff up your upper arms to make a pillow with your triceps. And lift your hips and your chest a little bit higher towards the sky. Still grounding your weight evenly into all four corners of your feet. I know I have a tendency to kind of come on the outsides of my feet, bring the weight of the body onto the outsides of the feet. So really think about encouraging the weight evenly. And then exhale to release down. Good. Hug your knees into your chest here. Just rock side to side, massaging your lower back. Good. From here, go ahead and cross your right leg over top of your left leg. So just crossing your legs over one another, connecting at the knees, so knees are right in line with each other. And then take hold of your ankles and guide your ankles down towards the floor and in towards your body. So this is Supta Gomukhasana. You have Gomukhasana legs here as if you were in the upright position of Gomukhasana. And you'll feel this in the, most likely you'll feel this in the right leg, or yeah, the right thigh the most, kind of like the upper outer thigh that kind of goes into your hip area then. So just the stronger that you kind of pull the feet in towards your body and down towards the mat, the more you'll feel that. Exhale to release and untwine your legs. And then we'll just go to the other side. So go ahead and cross your left leg over top of your right leg. And then lift your feet off of the floor. Bring your hands to your ankles and guide them down towards the mat and towards your chest. And you'll feel that same stretch, probably more strongly in the left side now. Exhale to release. And then just hug your knees into your chest, rock side to side one more time to massage the lower back. And then eventually allow your knees to fall over towards the right side. So stack your legs on top of one another, bent into your body. Take your right hand and guide your left knee closer into your right armpit. And then bring your left arm out to a T. And turn your gaze over towards your left fingertips. This is a supine twist. It's a great release of the lower back, which we often are also working a bit by doing hip stability and strengthening and opening. So this is a great release of that, especially after a bridge pose. It's also a twist. So you should feel some sort of kind of detoxifying with the wringing out of the spine. From here, hug your knees back through center, and then allow your knees to gently fall towards the left side. Go ahead and use your left hand to guide your right knee in towards your left armpit a bit more. Bring your right arm out to a T and gaze over towards your right fingertips. Good. From here, hug your knees into your chest, back through center. Take any last movements that you need to complete your practice, maybe happy baby, or just kind of massaging your lower back and forth a few more times. Good, and then when you're ready, you can let your legs come out long in front of you if you want to layer up for Shavasana. If it's a little chillier in your house and you want to make sure you have warmth, your body temperature will kind of drop during Shavasana usually. Just let your legs come about hip width distance out towards in front of you, and then your arms alongside you. And just allow this to be enough right now. A poet named Dana Folds reads, "It is enough right now to taste one moment of peace. Of course I want more, but at least the door is open. It is enough to draw a conscious breath and let my hands relax. Fingers releasing their tight grasp on things outside of my control. It is enough to shed a layer of stress, as if taking off a jacket or a pair of too tight shoes. Ease of being has to start somewhere. This breath is my first step." So allow your breath to deepen here and just to relax for a few moments in our final restful position of Shavasana. Begin to bring awareness back into the physical body. You are welcome to stay here in Shavasana. That's another beautiful thing about home practice. You can stay in Shavasana for as long as you'd like, so no pressure to awaken with the rest of us here. Begin to wiggle your toes and your fingers. And eventually hugging your knees into your chest. Take one more opportunity to rock side to side, massaging your lower back. And then eventually allowing your knees to fall to one side. Thank yourself for giving you this time, this past hour, to just be, and to allow being to just be enough. Being here on your mat. Use your palm that's on top to push yourself up into a seated position, coming around into a cross-legged position of some sort that you started your practice with. Bringing your hands to your thighs. And just allowing your breath to really be conscious here for a few more rounds. To close our practice in unity with one another and to honor the space that we've shared, this virtual space that we've shared today, I invite you to bring your hands to your heart together. And join me in chanting one single sound of Om. You can always listen along. Inhale here for Om. Lift your thumbs up to your third eye, bowing your head, bringing your hands down towards the mat, sealing in your practice. I honor the light in each one of you. Thank you for your time, energy, and commitment to this practice. Greatly appreciate you taking the time to practice with me and with Wake Up Yoga during this time. Namaste.